British media report 13 Somali men have been convicted of running a sex ring targeting underage girls. Some of the victims were said to be as young as 13 years old. Well, Atika Schubert joins us now from CNN London with more on the story. Atika, what more do you know?
Yeah, this is a very sad case. 13 men in Bristol, all of Somali origin, have now been found guilty of a systematic sexual abuse targeting young, vulnerable girls. Some of them are as young as 13 years old. What they did basically was prey upon and groom these very young girls, many of whom were in local care, and then proceeded to abuse them, often passing the girls between them. In one case, a 13-year-old girl was raped 3 times in one night. In another case, a 16-year-old victim was basically had her home taken over by these men. She was living on her own in a flat, and they took it over and forced her into prostitution. So it's a particularly grim case, but it is much more recent than some of the other cases that we've been seeing recently in the UK, where we've been seeing convictions that for crimes that were committed many years ago. This is a relatively recent crime that has gone through the system.
And as you say, this is not the first time we're hearing reports of these so-called grooming gangs. It seems to be not common, but at least far more pervasive than I think many people would like.
Yeah, it's much more widespread than people initially believed. The biggest case we know, of course, is in Rochdale, and there was an intensive investigation there that found out that hundreds of children, most of them young girls, had become victim of these gangs. And one of the, I think, the hardest parts for the society here to digest, really, is that a lot of these gangs are composed of Asian men. This is the first time we've seen a Somali gang, but there's been a lot of outcry about the ethnicity of some of these gangs. But the fact is, what has been happening is not just the ethnicity of the men committing these crimes, but the fact that these very young girls simply weren't believed. They went to police with their problems, and they weren't believed at all. They were just told that they were having problems with their boyfriend, and so it went undetected for a long time. And it's only now that we're seeing these grooming gangs really being brought to justice.